In this video, we're going to be looking at how to work with increment and decrement operators in JavaScript. For this, let's create a file. I'm going to call this as inc.js. Let us say that I have a variable. I'm going to call the variable as count, and I'll set the initial value of count to be 0. I have declared it using the let keyword because I plan to change the value of this particular variable. If we had created it as const, we cannot update or we cannot reassign a value to it. Now let us say that I want to increment the value of the count by 1. So what I can do is I can do it in multiple ways. From the learning from the previous chapter, you can actually do count is equal to count plus 1, or you can do count plus equals 1. So you can use your combine assignment operator where you're combining assignment plus the arithmetic operation, or you can do something like count plus plus in short. So this plus plus is an increment operator that we can use. So what I can now check for is if I now say console.log of count, let me run this file. I'll say node inc.js. You can see the value of count has been incremented to 1 or incremented by 1. I could increment it one more time. Now you need to keep in mind, if I'm using the increment operator, I can only increment it by 1. What if I want to increment the value by 2 or 3? Then I have to go back and use the traditional mechanism. I would not be able to do it using just the plus plus, sign. That's the increment operator. Another thing that you have to keep in mind is while you're working with the increment operator, you get something called as a post increment, and you also have something called as a pre-increment. So the way the post and pre work is basically when I'm saying something like console.log count plus plus. So when I'm using plus plus, which is basically a post increment operator, what happens is at this point of time, it will return the existing value of count and then go on to increment the value of it. So in this case, when I run this piece of code, it will still come back and print the value 1. So I cannot do a console.log count plus plus and expect the value of 2 to appear. It just doesn't work. But if has the value of the count incremented, let's check it out. The value of count, has it incremented? Yes, the value of count has incremented, but it's just that when I'm using the value, if I'm using the variable, it'll give me the value before the actual incrementation that happens. You also get something called as a pre-increment operator. That is where you use the plus plus before the variable name. Let me show you how it works. I could do something like plus plus count. So when I use the pre-increment operator, what it will do is it will go ahead, increment the value, and then return the incremented value. So if I come back and if I say node inc.js, you can see that the value that gets returned is basically the incremented value, not the value before incrementation. Right? All right. So like the incrementation, you also have the post decrement and pre-decrement operators.